Hi everyone, this is Ruchi Kulkarni and today we are going to do a poem, Fog, written by Carl Sandburg. This poem is from first flight of class 10th. Fog is a natural phenomenon whereby a thick cloud of tiny water droplets is formed in the atmosphere, especially in winters. Fog occurs naturally, but the poet Carl Sandburg sees it in a different light. He feels that fog is like a cat, which comes quietly over the city and harbour and after a while moves on silently. Let's read and understand the small poem of Carl Sandburg in today's session. Thereafter, I'll discuss its poetic devices, rhyme scheme, significance of the title, moral, summary, and question answers. But to begin with the session, let's know something about its poet. Carl August Sandburg was born on 6th January 1878 in Galesburg, Illinois, US. He was an American poet, biographer, journalist, and editor. He won 3 Pulitzer Prizes, 2 for his poetry and 1 for his biography of Abraham Lincoln. In 1952, he also won Robert Frost Medal. During his lifetime, Sandburg was widely regarded as a major figure in contemporary literature, especially for volumes of his collected verse, including Chicago Poems in 1916, Corn Huskers in 1918, and Smoke and Steel in 1920. He also wrote a biography on Abraham Lincoln, which was named as Abraham Lincoln, The Prairie Years and the War Years. He died on 22nd July 1967 in Flat Rock, North Carolina, US. The fog comes on little cat feet. It sits looking over harbour and city on silent haunches and then moves on. The fog comes on little cat feet. The poet in this poem is describing fog. Fog is a thick cloud of tiny water droplets which is present in the atmosphere, and this fog is generally seen in winter season. And when this fog arrives, everything becomes hazy. You cannot see anything clearly. But the poet says that this fog is like a cat who comes silently on its feet. So here the poet is using a metaphor for fog. So here the poet is comparing fog with a little cat. Just as a cat is silent when it is moving or it silently comes near us, similarly the fog also comes or arrives silently. It does not make any sound. It sits looking over harbour and city on silent haunches and then moves on. Now the poet here is telling that fog is compared to the cat. So just as a cat sits quietly looking around it, similarly the fog also sits there. The fog is looking over the harbour and city. Harbour is a port for ships. So the fog is completely over the harbour and the city as if it is looking over the entire place. And it is sitting silently on haunches, just as a cat sits on its haunches. When the cat sits, it bends the knees. That is called as haunching. So as the cat haunches and looks around it, similarly the fog also sits silently and looks over the harbour and city. And after a while, it moves on. After a while, just as a cat would stand up and move on, similarly, the fog also leaves the city and moves on. The poet says so because it is a natural phenomenon that fog does not stay at a place for long and leaves the place after a few hours. So here also the poet says that just like a cat, the fog leaves the place very silently without being noticed by anyone. The first poetic device used here is a metaphor. Metaphor is a comparison of two things which are not alike. In this poem, the fog is compared to the cat. Just like a cat, the fog comes silently over the city. It looks over the city and after a while it moves on. So because of this comparison, the entire poem has got metaphor. The next poetic device used here is enjambment. This poetic device is used when a sentence continues to the next line without any punctuation, like comma or a full stop. Look at the last 4 lines of the poem. It sits looking over harbour and city on silent haunches and then moves on. Here, the same sentence is continued to the next line without a comma or any other punctuation mark. Therefore, this displays enjambment. The third poetic device used here is personification. It is used when human-like attributes are given to other living or non-living things. This entire poem displays personification because the fog is given human-like attributes. The following lines show us how personification is done. Like, fog comes, it sits looking, and then moves on. These are the human-like characteristics given to the fog, and therefore here fog is personified. A rhyme scheme is a rhyming pattern created at the end of each line. In this poem, no rhyme scheme is followed. Therefore, it's a free verse. This poem demonstrates the poet's appreciation for nature. Here the poet describes the fog that hangs over the city as though it is like a cat-like creature passing through. He has tried to add a character to an otherwise mundane natural event. The intention of the poem is to highlight the beauty of nature in an interesting way. Therefore, the title Fog is apt for this poem. The moral of this poem is change. Change is the inevitable part of nature as well as of humanity. Change comes unannounced, so we must adapt to the change and accept life as it comes. Whether hazy like fog or clear like spring, our mindset should be of acceptance and moving along life smoothly. That's all in today's session. I'll be flashing the summary and question answers right in front of you in a moment. But before I leave, I must request you to like, share and subscribe to my channel and press the bell icon so that you never miss the notifications regarding my uploads. I'll see you again in my next video with a new topic of class 10th. Till then, take good care of yourself and bye-bye.